Hi, I'm firearms attorney Gilbert Ambler, and today we're going to talk about the nationwide pistol brace injunction, and of course that's a good thing for many of you, but I am worried that for a couple of those that are unaware, it might lead to their illegal possession of a short-barreled rifle. Before we dive into it, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button, go ahead, hit subscribe, like, comment with your thoughts, and share with your friends. That way you and your friends can keep getting this important Second Amendment related content. Now, to bring everybody up to speed, a judge in Texas, in the case of Brito versus ATF, issued a nationwide injunction against the pistol brace rule this week. Now, there had been previous injunctions. Those previous injunctions had not been nationwide for everybody, but had been limited to plaintiffs in the various lawsuits. So members of GOA, members of Firearms Policy Coalition, members of Second Amendment Foundation, etc. Not ATF members, not NRA members, though. Of course, NRA did not originally get an injunction. That's a whole nother issue. But now, even NRA members have an injunction because the Brito case issued nationwide relief. The concern I have, however, is whether the ATF views this as invalidating their final rule, because the final rule is no longer in effect for anyone based on that decision. And of course, there is a very real risk that the ATF might appeal this decision up and might get that injunction removed and switched. But my concern is more so for people that actually ran out and got their free tax stamps. The concern is this. When we look at those free tax stamps, many of those free tax stamps condition the issuance of the tax stamp on this final rule. And of course, the final rule is no longer in effect for anyone due to this injunction. And so if your possession of the tax stamp was conditional based on the final rule being in effect, I think it is possible that the ATF is going to say, well, your tax stamp is no longer in effect. And of course, if all you have is a brace on the weapon, not a big deal. But the ATF went around telling people that once they got their tax stamp, they could remove the brace and put an actual stock on the weapon. So for those very narrow category of folks, ones who got the free tax stamp, where the tax stamp says it is conditioned on the final rule being in effect, and the final rule is no longer in effect, but they went and put a stock in place of the brace on their gun, thinking that they had a valid tax stamp, that's where I am concerned that the ATF might believe you are in possession of an illegal short-barreled rifle, because they might claim that the tax stamp, which was conditional, is no longer good for you. So if you're in that position, I would urge you, make sure you don't have any actual stocks. You want to make sure that you have a brace on. The other category of persons that I'm a little bit worried about are the people that are jumping all over the internet, posting pictures of them taking their braces out of hiding and putting it back onto their pistols. And the reason I'm concerned for these folks is because if the ATF does seek a stay, and this does go up, and they get this injunction stayed, then all of those people that posted pictures on their internet celebrating, saying, oh, the brace rule got enjoined, I can put my brace back on finally. Now the ATF can look at your social media feeds and say, you're in constructive possession, you're in constructive possession, you're in constructive possession, because obviously you kept your braces and still had your firearms and you just clicked them back together as soon as you found out that the final rule was enjoined. Now you might have some defenses, they might not be able to prove all the elements, you might have a Thompson center defense that you had multiple ways that the weapons could be configured, one of them being lawful, even if there's some unlawful configurations. That being said, I don't want to see the ATF come after anybody. And so if you happen to be on the ATF's interest list, if you will, if they're watching you for some reason and you post these videos, well, for God's sakes, stop posting evidence on the internet. That's what I'm telling all of you. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit subscribe. Until next time.